All right, good morning, everybody. Well, it's almost afternoon. Been a bunch of meetings this morning. Today, we're just gonna kind of do a whole bunch of cuts from a bunch of meetings. That's most of what I do. Probably 70–80% of what I do is just meetings. So this morning, I had a meeting with the Bellingham location, all the crew over there. Then I had a meeting with my accountant. Then we had a media team meeting. So all the guys here, we talk every Monday morning. We go over everything on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all the different platforms, where we're at, and where we're making money, things like that. And then now I'm going on a sales call, and these sales calls happen a few times a day. I hate when people don't show up to them because I spend quite a bit of time getting ready for these calls in the form of looking at their territory, making sure that it's going to be viable for an Augusta lawn care location, seeing where they live, kind of getting demographics, all that good stuff. So I have several of those today. Got a couple calls with franchisees. We have one of our franchisees that's actually selling his location to one of his employees. And so lots of fun stuff today. Well, fun, it's just meetings, but that's most of what I do. So we try to make it as interesting as possible. But this first one is a sales call with a potential franchisee. We'll see how it goes. Everyone always asks me why I wear my boots into the office. Here's why, is because usually that means it's the day where I had team meetings in the morning at the local shop. And you'll probably see it like on our travel vlogs and stuff like that. One thing I always try to do is make sure that if I'm gonna be on a job site or even around the guys who are working in the front lines, that I wear my boots and I wear my working pants. I think it's something I learned a couple years ago when I was out traveling to another landscaping company, and I saw a big disconnect between the owners and the frontline employees, and a lot of it had to do with the fact that the owners would not get out of the truck. They would wear different uniforms, different pants, different shoes, and they would not get dirty when they go out on a job site. So especially when I'm going on a job site, but even when I'm going to the local shop and I'm around gravel and stuff, I like to be able to look like they do, dress like they do, and not have that delineation between like owners and management versus frontline employees. I don't like that kind of dynamic. So that's why I do it. People have always asked me, why are you wearing boots indoors? You don't need them. You're right, 100%. But usually it means I've been on the job site, so that's why. And that's the model that we really like the most, and that is one general manager, 8 to 10 employees underneath him, $1 million in revenue, 20% margin. That's the model, right? Like even if someone started growing beyond that, I would start thinking about second location, because as soon as you start getting bigger than that, you need middle level management. You need a project manager. Oh, and now I need a mowing manager. And in my opinion, that's just wasted. They are overhead. They're an expense. You want as many people out in the field as possible comparative to the amount of people like running around in a truck all day doing quality control. Like that's what kills businesses as they get bigger. And so that's really our metric is exactly what you said. And that's how we come up with the numbers is like one general manager, and they don't need an office. They don't need a fancy place to work out of. They can be out in their truck all day long. Command center can be handling everything else. You get 8 to 10 employees out in the field working. And you're doing like exactly what you said, $1 million in revenue for that year, and we want 20% margin once we hit that. No, it's good. Usually through all your questions, I kind of get a good understanding of everything I need to know. But kind of in general, I'd say like, what is sort of your end goal? Like, I know obviously, eventually you said kind of replacing your current income and then going full time into it. But what's kind of like the 5, 10, like even beyond Augusta? What's kind of that? Rest your day. Take care. Bye.
Okay.
So this is Brian. He just started like several weeks ago. It takes quite a long time for them to learn how to get on the phone. So this is his first phone call. So we always celebrate their first phone call because it means like they've learned a lot about estimates, contact forms, and a lot of different scenarios. So he's on his first call right now. It looks like they're doing a work change order on a big landscaping job. So when he gets off, we'll kind of make a big deal about it. So this is an estimate from Ontario, up in Nepean, one of our franchisees. It was from a month ago, and he wants it put on the schedule for tomorrow, so we basically have to resell the job on the phone to the customer because they almost forgot what it's all about. So it's a tough one, actually.
So the first thing, just to go through it chronologically, the first thing we saw was they were supposed to remove the leaves, and they were supposed to cut back the bush, and it sounds like they got the leaves, but they didn't get the bush.
As we go forward, we're thinking about, and that is really trying to, as we get more people here, getting more like teams, instead of having to like answer phones and do stuff for 40 locations, you'd have 10 or 15 that you're kind of governed, and you kind of have a team of full service people and frontline estimate, basic service, caller people taking the phones. and we'd have like teams of people, like 5 to 8 people. That would be teams for specific locations. Because that way right now, like even with phone calls, even though it's not full service, there's a level of like knowing what services they're offering and all that. We now know what happens to March 1st, and we can really hire up for it this time and train everyone throughout the winter. So I think even for those of you here now that have the next 7-8 months left of this year, you will probably become the ones that train 2 or 3 other people before next spring. And so obviously we're training new people now, but like this core group is probably the ones who will be the trainers next winter for 3 times as many people, right? Because now we know what's coming, and we're not going to do what we did this year, where it's like, we tried this year. We thought we were out hiring enough, but it wasn't enough. So
we did a slight overcorrection.
So
because the year before we didn't have enough work for people.
Yeah.
That was definitely our overcorrection.
Yeah.
Sure.
We'll blame it on Lonnie.
You can blame it on me.
So thank you for kind of taking that off of her. Well, we're getting there. Trying to get.
That's the goal.
So awesome. Thank you, everyone. Have a fantastic rest of your day. All right, so we need to talk because last night I did a YouTube survey poll, and it is about what your gross revenue is per field employee. We'll pop it up over here so you can see what the results are. Over half of those of you that responded less than $5,000 per month per employee. Now, maybe some of you were thinking like part-time employees and stuff like that too, but that number is really, really low. Let me run the numbers for you. Let's say someone works full-time, and by the time you include the costs like payroll tax and all the rest of it, it's like $20 per hour. Even if you're charging, it's 16, but like by the time you have payroll tax and all the rest of it, $20 an hour, let's assume that's what their cost is for labor. If you take that and you multiply it over the course of a full-time job, that's $800, so 40 hours a week, that's $800 a week. Times it by 4, that's $3,200 a month. If I'm only generating $5,000 in revenue and I'm paying $3,200 in wages, it means that 64% of my total revenue is going to just field labor. You'll never be able to scale your business if that's the number you're at. Never. We want that under 40%. 40% is like still high. Like we want that lower than 40%. And again, I'm only talking about field laborers. Not like this does not include everyone in your office and all the rest of it. But I asked, what is your gross revenue per field employee? If you have full-time employees, try to track this number once a year, see where you're at. You might need to raise your prices, or massive inefficiencies of people just like sitting at job sites and not doing anything. So it's a little bit worrisome. We shoot for 10,000 or more. So keep this in mind. I know some of these might be part-timers, might be that you're smaller, but a little bit disturbing on that one. Jonathan from Florida Turf Pros. We'll go ahead and get this thing started. Jonathan, welcome to the show. So you kind of alluded to there a little bit earlier, and that is just the amount of pressure right now with being booked out, having a schedule that's booked, having employees that are inconsistent, all of that pressure. A lot of people are booked out. A lot of people are struggling with employees. What has been your recipe, or maybe even Jamie wants to chime in here, but what has been your sort of methodology behind making sure you don't burn out during this time and you're actually more consistent throughout the rest of the year instead of just, laying it out on the field and then, pittering out because you're so exhausted in June, July?
For me, I have to slow down on the weekends. I have to. If I don't slow down on the weekends, and again, we could keep doing estimates on the weekends. I could work through the weekend to get caught up on work. But we just kind of have this thing where, like, look, on Saturdays and Sundays, we're not answering the phone. We're not doing anything on email. Like, we're not doing anything after 6 o'clock at night. We're just not. And I can't. For my mental health, I can't do it.
Before we wrap it up, Jonathan, what would you share with someone that was just getting started in the industry this year? I feel like this is the big thing I've been thinking about. And, obviously with our franchises, we always are I always feel like I'm just starting, right? Because as they open up, I feel like I'm trying to get them in the groove. What would you share with someone just starting now in 2021 with the labor market the way it is, with the housing economy the way it is? What would you share with that person as an overall, just from a landscaping universe world?
I would say that this year, you need to focus on keeping things simple. And in this particular market, it's going to be a grind with the employees and the staffing. And you're going to have to stick it out. I think this is going to be a tough year. You're going to have to just put your head down. Like, that's it. You got to put your head down and just do the hard stuff. I'm not talking about working until you're killing yourself, but you just have to go in this with the expectation, especially like if you're starting out, like, man, there is you've got to pay some dues in the beginning, and there's no other way around it. There is no, we're going to start the ground running and it's going to be peaches and cream. Like, it's not, man. It's hard work in the beginning, but don't let that keep you, because after that first or second year, like, it gets easier. Like, every year it gets easier. It really does.
Just a big thank you. You inspired me when I was 17, 18, trying to look on the internet, trying to find people talking about business and not just mowers. And so I want to say a big thank you to you as well.
Yeah, I was not expecting you to say that. I did not know that at all, and that's really cool. Really humbling to hear you say that, because I've looked at your videos, thought, man, this guy just has it all together. You know, like that's he's got it figured out. You know. And one more thing. A video you had posted the other day about some of the struggles that you had during your landscaping. This year in particular has been very, very tough. I got to tell you, that for me was a very, very timely video, just to hear, like, okay, even Mike Andes, you know, who has multiple businesses running on all cylinders, it was just refreshing to hear somebody say, man, sometimes it sucks. Like, sometimes it's really, really hard, you know? And it just came at a really, really good time, and I appreciate you sharing that type of content.
Hey, it's Mike here. Quick note, I just want to say a big thank you for watching this video, supporting the channel. Whether you're watching another video, you subscribed or liked or not, I just want to say thank you. That's it.